Good morning, Ocoee region. Hey, Tony Miles here, and I am so glad you are joining me today. But before I go into the show, you know I got to give my props. Give my props here to Transforming Greatness, which is my own company, a consulting company dedicated to discovering, developing, and helping organizations and individuals to develop, discover, let me get this right, okay, and dominate in their original intent. So in other words, their God-given purpose. So, and then I'd also like to give a shout out to Southern Charms Boutique, who is also a sponsor. And let me tell you, this top, you need to go buy. You need to go by there, as well as this beautiful necklace that is Matthew 19:26, and it says, "With God, all things are possible." And that is definitely the truth. And my show today, guest, we have Suzanne Burns. And I'm going to have her introduce who's here with us. But we're here to talk about Foundation House Ministries, one of my favorite nonprofits. I love what this woman of God does. And not that she should be a hidden gem, but she still is a hidden gem because not everybody knows her testimony or what she does right now with Foundation House Ministries. And we're here to change that today. So welcome, Suzanne.
Hi, Tony. It's good to be here.
Good. And what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Caroline.
Caroline.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes. Now, is this...
She's one of our interns.
Okay.
Our business management intern from Lee University.
I love Lee.
Yes.
I love the students at Lee. They supported me when I was at the Caring Place.
Yes.
So I love the heart of the students at Lee
Yes.
University. Yes. Suzanne,
Yes, ma'am.
before we get to Foundation House, I want you to take 2 minutes and talk about your personal testimony. And I know you've given it so much, so I know you can do it in 2 or 3 minutes. Okay?
Tony also knows that I could do it in 45 minutes.
Yes,
as well.
I do. So that's why I put a timeline on it.
So I was a Lee student myself back in the 90s and found myself pregnant as a junior. I had gotten into a relationship where I was acting very differently than the way I was raised. I found myself using drugs, using alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and then I got pregnant. And so, of course, as a Lee student, I had to withdraw, and it was very difficult at the time being a single mom. However, I had great family support. I had good job skills. I had some college, and then I had my family backing me through that time. But it was still really difficult. And so over the years, as I rebuilt my life, got remarried, and I had another son, I began to volunteer at New Hope and spent 7 years there as a volunteer and absolutely loved it. They're just some of the most wonderful people I could imagine. And began to see more and more girls who really needed more than what we were equipped to do. They were homeless. They were living in their cars. They were bouncing from couch to couch. And so I created Foundation House as my way to give back because these girls, I had job skills, I had family, I had the emotional support. These girls had nothing. They had no one. They had no help whatsoever. So what I wanted to create was a place where they could just really come and live within that cocoon and be supported and be encouraged and be built up and get the job skills and the financial literacy and the stability underneath themselves that I had with my family.
Okay. That's awesome. That is awesome. And you know, for my role at the Caring Place during these last 5 years, we would run into a lot of these young girls, and that would be one of the first places we would refer them to.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the ones that needed that can't talk
Cocooning,
today.
yeah.
The cocooning
Yes.
needed a physical place where they had 24/7
Exactly.
cocooning.
Exactly.
And I just love the fact that, God wrote that. I love how he doesn't waste anything. We can make these mistakes, but in his eyes, he already knew what we were going to do.
Exactly.
So it was part of our journey. So then he makes that our mess our not only our message, but our ministry.
Exactly. My favorite verse, my life verse is 2 Samuel 14:14.
Oh, I love that one.
Like water spilled on the ground that cannot be recovered, so we must die. But God does not take away life. Instead, he devises ways so that the banished will not remain estranged from him. And that to me is like, it's his promise that he is, I just picture him like continually trying to create pathways and opportunities for us to stumble up over something and see him. And that's what we want to do with Foundation House as well. Give these women more and more opportunities to find Jesus, to see who he really is, instead of who they've been told he is. The angry and vengeful God that he is not.
No, he is a very loving Father.
Yes.
But he will discipline us.
Yes.
And we have to learn how to receive correction.
Yes.
That is not wrath, because if we take that to the natural, with our parents, when we were, when they are shaping us as we growing up, they disciplined us.
Right.
And they protected us.
Exactly.
And they did whatever they had to do to keep us out of harm's way. Even if it meant a little small spanking. And y'all, I'm not promoting spanking. So don't call me. But you know what I mean.
It was a different era when you and I were
when
kids.
I grew up, you got a little tap on those legs.
That's right.
So, but so I love that, and I love. But tell us a little bit more on the if I was a person out here, and I am wandering, and or if you know some young female that is out here wandering, who needs help, who happens to be pregnant, and all of that. Tell us what happens. I know here's the information how to get there, but tell us what happens when I walk in the door or I make the phone call.
Yeah, so we are a maternity home, and so we offer housing for women who are pregnant and homeless, as well as classes and case management and court advocacy and a wide variety of other wraparound services. We also have a non-residential program where we work with women who have lost custody. A lot of times that's due to drugs and alcohol, and so once they're ready, we're part of the process of getting restoration of custody back. We do the same classes and case management with them as well. So if someone is interested, they're more than welcome to give us a call, and we'll talk with them and understand their situation. We do have we have a graduated system of coming into the program. We're not an emergency shelter because our goal is to get her to stability.
Right.
And so not every woman is ready for that when she first comes in.
Right.
So we'll talk with her and we'll ask her questions and we'll try to help her find the place that's a fit for her. If that's us, wonderful, and if it's not, then we do have some other resources that are a little bit more safe than living on the street or in the homeless shelter or something like that.
Right. I'm glad you're doing the whole referral process. Yeah. And we all need to do more of that, learn about what each other's doing and do more of that. So I just want to ask you one more question because, and I'm glad you really cleared that up, because I know even like myself at first, I thought it was just about coming within the house and living in that house.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that you also have a program that is outside of that house. And I'm not sure a lot of people realize that. So I'd like to spend a little bit more time there and talk about how that works.
Yeah, well, honestly, when we first started, we were just a house. And we knew other women would come to us, or they would have maybe older children that were not in their custody, but now they're pregnant, and so they would come in like that. And so we kind of started it accidentally. And then I went through a hiring phase back in 2015, and Lisa Holmes came on board, and she had been with CASA for so many years.
Yes.
And so she had a burning passion for these women who had lost custody, and really ultimately what those women are the same girls that are currently pregnant and homeless just a few years later. Like, if nobody intervenes in this girl's life, this is likely where she's going to end up. So we really see them as very much the same person just a few years down the road. And so for us, it's just really the only difference is where you're living, whether you live with us or whether you're living someplace else, because the classes, the family support, the relationship building, the case management, going to court with you and encouraging you and supporting you, all of that is the same.
So actually, when I think of CASA, and so if I am one of those parents that have lost custody of my child, and CASA has a volunteer appointed to advocate for that child.
Yeah.
So you all then could work with the parent.
Exactly. And we have a great relationship with CASA.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because really,
I love that.
they want what's best for the child.
Yes.
And that's their focus. And so they give the parent a list of this is what you have to do in order to get your child back.
Yeah.
The problem is that many of these parents, they don't have any other support. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to do these things. They don't know who to call. But Lisa, with all her vast knowledge, having been there, she just makes a couple phone calls and it's like, oh, let's check off 3 things off this list.
Yes.
So we work really closely with CASA, them supporting the child and us supporting the parents to get them ready for that child.
Okay.
And so we really kind of become the bridge to helping those families be restored. And of course, we work with DCS in a similar way too. Yeah.
Yes. See, I really love that, and I'm not sure a lot of people knew that. And so that is really, I love how God is expanding your tent pegs.
Yes, He is. Yes, He is.
And He will provide.
Thank you, Tony.
I will keep
Ain't that
speaking
the truth?
that over you. He will provide.
Bring it, Jesus. Bring it, Jesus.
He will provide.
Yes.
So
yes, He will.
You've been sitting over there awfully quiet. So how did you connect with Foundation Ministries, Elizabeth?
And so I got into the business school at Lee University and started looking at internship opportunities. I'm a healthcare administration major, but I've also always had a passion for women and for women in crisis situation, women with children, pregnant women. All through my high school career, I would volunteer at Florence Crittenden Homes and became close to those girls and had that experience and that foundation knowledge that I feel called by God to be involved in these women's lives and whatever path they need to be in. And then I found out about the internship with Suzanne and just applied one night. The next day I was hired on as a business management intern.
That's exactly how fast it happened.
And then within the next couple of days I was thrown into paperwork, thrown into, okay, let's sit down, let's create a policy and procedures manual. Let's look at all the forms that we need to have for these girls to sign, to be able to become part of this business, to be able to develop all the job skills that they need to have and get prepared for the real world if they so choose to leave Healing Springs Gifts and go for other jobs as well. And so right now, I've just been able to come in and see such the groundwork and such working from getting all the inventory into making all the batches to working our way up and just being able to be there from the start and getting all that experience and knowledge in my world, in my business world as well.
I love how Suzanne is always giving back. We're going to come right back. We're going to do another segment because you just mentioned Healing Springs, and we're going to come right back and talk about Healing Springs.
Yes.
But I want to thank you, Ocoee Region, and I want to encourage you to get in touch with Suzanne Burns. This is a great organization to support with your time, talent, and most of all, your treasure. She needs your treasure. This is such a giving community. I know it on firsthand, but again, this is an opportunity for you to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ, but at the same time, write a check. Okay? All right. Thank you for joining me for this segment of Hidden Gems of the Ocoee Region. We will be coming back to talk about Foundation House Ministries' new business opportunity. We'll be right back. Thank you.